Hello and welcome back to the CineClub podcast. I'm Billy.
I'm Dion.
I'm Matthew.
And I'm Rhys. And today, in light of the recent release of Danny Boyle and Alex Garland's 28 Years Later, the highly anticipated follow-up to 28 Days and Weeks Later, respectively, we're going to be looking back on the series and seeing what worked and what maybe didn't. Let's start with the original, 28 Days Later. What did you think?
Great.
Awesome.
I think it's probably one of the best horror films of all time.
I agree.
Fact.
It's the best zombie film. I'll
Not
put
many
that
good ones.
controversial. There's not many good
Sorry,
ones.
there's
right?
The George A. Romero.
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah.
And what else is there? Nothing good.
Well, you got Zack
No.
Snyder's
Dreadful.
remake.
Dreadful. Move
that
on. Name a good zombie film.
name a good zombie film. Yeah, I can't.
Yep.
No, there's not many.
It's it. Yep. It's the best of a terrible bunch.
Oh, Howie, you're
It's
being,
no.
you're being quite
It's
harsh
really
there.
good. I love it. It's amazing. But I don't think zombie films are like great.
They are oversaturated slop a lot of the time, I think. Like, it's one of the most popular genres of horror for a reason.
Oh, sorry, Shaun the Dead.
Shaun the Dead. is a
yeah,
good
Shaun
one,
the Dead.
Shaun
Dead's
the
a
Dead.
good
That
one.
was a.
That's a horror comedy.
comedy.
That's a spin on it. Like an actual good zombie
It's
film.
similar to
hasn't been
28
done for quite a
Days
while.
Later, where it's like, with 28 Days, that it's less of a horror, more of like a family film.
A family
Not
film.
a family film like
Family
that.
film.
Like
Take
a
the
family.
kids to the cinema.
Yeah,
Oh,
I found like
man,
a
we're just getting
family
his
type
head ripped
film,
off.
then like a proper zombie horror film. So like, think of like films like Guardian and stuff, where it's like family found, and you get what I mean. We'll go on.
No.
Found family.
Yeah, found family.
Oh,
that's
right.
it.
What,
Yeah.
are we still talking about Shaun of the Dead or 28
28
Days?
28 days.
28 Days is... Oh, right.
See-
Okay, you're
Yeah,
saying it's
'cause they
found
find a
family,
family,
not a
don't they?
family film.
Yeah,
Right,
they find
okay.
a family. Yeah.
I mean, I guess.
Kind of agree.
Yeah.
I think that's the core of the genre, though, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it is. 'cause
Having a found family.
well,
Because
that's-
Night of the Living Dead.
yeah, it's just all foundational from Night of the Living Dead, where
Mhm.
a group of survivors all get together, and like they come from different walks of life, but they've got to work together.
Yeah.
And, you know, 28 Days does that
Mhm.
with Cillian Murphy, Naomi Harris,
Mhm.
and then whoever the young girl was.
Oh, she
And
was
Brendan
terrible.
Gleeson.
Yeah, she is pretty terrible.
Okay, let's talk about her for a bit.
No, let's not.
Oh.
Let's not.
I liked
Well-
her, honestly. I thought she was alright. Like, she
No,
was an
you
alright
did
actress.
not.
It's fine.
It's fine. It's just fun.
Taking away the bit where she's drugged, it's fine.
She serves the purpose that the narrative needs it
Yeah.
to do. But like, there's a reason she hasn't been like a breakout child star.
She's had
Yeah.
like 3 roles, as far as I know. And I think she just gave up after that.
Yeah.
For good reason. That wasn't the film that ended her career, though. But yeah, she's not very good in it. It takes us out of it a bit when she delivers like a completely wooden line.
Yeah,
I mean,
like
I think, yeah, I see that, but it's unfair that she's paired with Christopher Eccleston,
Oh, yeah.
Cillian Murphy, Brendan
Brendan
Gleeson,
Gleeson.
Naomi Watts. They've
Yeah,
done
yeah.
a bad hand there.
yeah, it's like the when a dad like gets shot by all the
Dad?
soldiers.
Dad.
So
Dad.
deadpan.
Yeah.
Dad.
One thing I really love about the film was the bit where they go to the shops, and it's just so
That's quite
well
good.
done.
Yeah,
I like that.
Mhm. I feel like I've seen that scene in other films as well.
I think it's done a lot better here. It's more iconic to me because A, the music, B, Brendan Gleeson's delivery and the alcohol.
Yeah, when
Which
he's
is
buying
great.
the whiskey,
Mhm.
Albert Twed for
Yeah.
him. Like, no, you don't want to buy that shit.
Yeah.
You want to buy this from
This
the
one.
top shelf. Yeah. It's a good bit.
Mhm. I think it does a really good job of making those found family aspects like come through,
Yeah.
but it's also a microcosm of British society, like every zombie film is of the society that makes it. What do we think of that?
How do you mean?
Well, obviously,
Elaborate.
Night of the Living Dead is a film about American society. There's different.
Yeah.
There's all different people from all different walks of life who all come together, representing society as a whole, just shrunk down. We get
Okay.
the same thing in 28 Days with different people.
I don't know
from
if I would
different
say
I
that
backgrounds.
don't know.
because they're
'Cause
they're all from the same sort of economical background. If you
Mhm.
had to guess, because like the only one that you really get background on properly is Cillian Murphy as like a delivery driver.
Pretty much a
And that's the
working
only
class.
background you get from him as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like they're all from similar sort of, I imagine, housing and jobs, and
Mhm.
Yeah.
so like it's not like a massive microcosm of Britain because it's just like mostly middle to
Working
middle,
class.
like
Yeah.
working class
Uh-huh.
people banding together.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Um,
I suppose there's a sense of like a real different background with Christopher Eccleston's
Yeah.
character.
Yeah,
I
Until
love
we
his
get the
character.
soldiers.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They're all the same.
The idea how soldiers are so desperate that like legitimately Eccleston
think
has to try and.
I think it's crazy that it took 4 weeks for them to get to that state.
Oh yeah,
That's
Mhm.
why it only occurred to me the other day when he's saying
that's a
"For
good
4
point.
weeks
Actually,
without women. Like, what?
yeah, it's only been a month, and they're just like, oh, sorry, girls, we're gonna have to enslave you to have sex with you. What?
It's crazy. And then the bit where like they've got is it one of their former soldiers? They've got him tied up,
Yeah,
in
their
backyard.
Infected like
Yeah.
stadium.
Mhm.
Because I believe he got like they state that he got infected like a few days before they found
Yeah.
Cillian Murphy's character.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
just been there for years, like days, and it's just kind of
Yeah.
Mhm. I think he's a very interesting character because at first, when you get to the soldiers, it's like it feels like the end of the film
yeah.
It does,
at about the halfway point, and then it gets deeper and deeper and deeper. You think this is less of a like utilitarian society where, you know, Christopher Eccleston's a bit of a like stern but fair leader, but he's just a straight up like nutter.
Oh,
Like the more and more you see of it, the more you realize, oh shit, he's just nuts, isn't he?
He's
Until
a
he
good
goes
villain,
full.
I think.
He's a great villain. I think he's a
He's
very good role.
It's down to Christopher Eccleston as well, who
Mhm,
I
mhm.
think is one of the best British actors in like recent years. He's
Mhm.
unbelievably
It's how he
good.
speaks too. He's very calm in delivery. There's rarely times where he's shouting. It's very calm and very much
Yeah, the
creepy.
bit that gets me about him is when, you know, when they're eating the eggs and the way he
Yeah.
looks at the soldier, he's
Yeah.
like, "Did you check these eggs?" Just that line, I was like, "Oh, I don't like this. I'm frightened of."
And then when he
Okay.
talks about
Mhm.
like how there should be like a woman in a kitchen, and
Yeah.
it's just so
Yeah.
And they're all looking at the three
Yeah.
characters looking
Mhm.
at each other like, "Oh, I'm not enjoying this."
There's
That's-
a proper
that-
like cult of personality been built around him, which is what I like about it.
Yeah,
I like just how fascist it is. They've got another in the zombies. They've got Christopher Eccleston as the big leader, and they keep themselves
Yeah.
together through that. And it's a really like that's part of the microcosm, I suppose. But enough about that. I think we should talk about what's cool and what's not about this film.
It's got an incredible. The first 15 minutes, from the very start up until they get to the shop, is my favourite like opening. Sort of 15 minutes in any film. The bit when he's in the church and he goes hello and the zombies look up.
Yeah, that really scared me
It scared me.
because it's a weird look the guy has on his face.
Yeah.
I think.
That's why it works. He just suddenly looks up with a gaping mouth, just
Yeah.
blank expression. It's
Yeah.
it's unnerving.
Mm-hmm. I think this film really does like appreciate the zombies more than any other film. Like, say again, we'll go back to Night of the Living Dead because we've all seen it. I think
Yeah.
it's doesn't really frame the zombies very well. They're just like kind of old people walking about outside. You know, there's not
Yeah.
really any special camera work done to them. But 28 Days, it really, really loves to have them on screen and
yeah.
put us in their perspective as well. And that's what makes them so scary, the way it frames it. There's a very, very good shot near the end of the film. It's when Cillian Murphy's released the zombie soldier and he goes up to the window and like
Yeah,
there's this
I know exactly what
because
you
it's
mean.
quite a realistic film, like visually, isn't it?
Mhm.
But then when that guy gets to the window, you see this red glow, this supernatural red glow come out,
Yeah.
and that's like it's quite like expressionist. I think it just shows like the reverence it has for the zombies and knows how to make them scary.
Absolutely.
Did this film scare you?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's the
Scared
bit,
me
I
when
think Eccleston was the scariest part for me.
Yeah.
Just like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
the-
the
he's
humans.
so the idea that the zombies aren't the scariest part, but the humans are is generally just so poetic and brilliant.
Yeah.
It did scare me when I first watched it because I watched it at about 12:30 at night, and then like the next day I'm walking the dogs at about this was in the winter at about 10:30, and I was like looking around every corner, terrified. I was like, I don't like this. But what makes it scarier for me 20 days later is the way it's filmed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Someone the other day, I don't know who it was like saying, "Oh, I don't like the way it's it looks." It lends it's so good.
it's
It
such
makes it so much more
Yeah.
terrifying, and I love. It's like how do I put it? It makes it feel like someone. I don't know how to phrase it, but it sort of like captures that period in time.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I
2000s.
completely get what you mean because, like, I think it's a stupid criticism to say, "Oh, I don't like how it looks. I think it looks too grainy." That's the point. It's filmed on, frankly, crappy digital cameras, handheld most of the time, to give it that sense of realism, to give it that sense of grit. The visual style that Boyle brings to it is the whole appeal of it, really.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you've got the magnetic performances in it, but it's the style. It's how he sort of evokes fear through the real. It's almost as if you're watching CCTV footage
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah.
But and then like the way he blends that in with quite sort of picturesque, almost painting like shots, like when they're on the car journey and they're going
Oh
past
my
the
God,
flowery
yeah.
field and
Mhm.
it's all
I
obscured and it looks like a painting. And by the end, once they escape the facility with the soldiers, and you get that little flash to the hospital, it cuts from the grainy handheld digital format to actual 35mm
Yeah.
film
Yeah.
for that reshot ending, and it works really well on a visual level because it sort of communicates to you that maybe they're out of the worst of it, and
Mhm.
like you return into some form of
Yeah.
normality
Yeah.
in a visual sense because you return to what you expect film to look
Mhm.
like.
Yeah.
Because like the sense of stability is there, I think, because the grime and the grit on the camera, it feels like they've just, in the world of the film, picked up a camera off the floor
Yeah.
that's been sat there for a month.
Definitely.
And then, as you say, getting to that end and that stability, professional cameras,
yeah.
professional shots. They're safe.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing now. And whether they actually have, we don't know.
But you mentioned the bit before where you said, "Oh, look when they go and pass all the flowers."
Mm-hmm.
That bit's lovely, and then you get the shot things after of Manchester on
Yeah,
fire.
on
Oh, yeah.
It's so the way it rises up and you just see it. It's,
Mhm.
Oh my god!
I want to talk about like one of my favorite still scenes in the film, and it's the bit at the camp, and it's like when they see the horses going by, and they have Brendan Gleeson's like line going,
Yeah.
where it's like
Blowing kisses to
Yeah.
the horses.
I
round
started
there.
tearing up there. It's like so well done.
Mhm.
He's great in this, Brendan Gleeson.
Yeah.
He's great in everything.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
not
no,
got
you're
a
not wrong.
single.
You're not
He's
wrong.
We can't disagree with
he's
that. no.
genuinely. Oh, he's one of my favourite actors. He's great, and just the bit at when you first see him, and he's got the riot gear on, and he's like, "Come on, run up!" And then they get in the house in the flat, and he shuts on. He's like, you don't drink then?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh,
It was such a switch up because you think that guy's badass at the top of the stairs with
He's
the
like
riot
getting his
shield.
daughter to get like the
Yeah.
fine china out. It's so good.
One small little detail of it's all Christmassy still.
Mhm.
Like he has the Christmas lights up and everything, and it just kind of makes me think like, is this a way to like kind of isolate his daughter in this world where it's like everything's still normal ways?
No, with the Christmas, it
The
might
Chri-
be that
they had a
actually,
signal
but the
to
Christmas
respond to
lights
the
were
Christmas
signals
lights,
for
yeah.
people.
I
it
know,
was
but
signals
also-
but
It might
like
be
I
that
get
as
what you
well.
mean. It sort of gives it a lot like a cozy, recognizable
Mm,
feeling.
yeah.
That people, like with the way the flat looked and like all the Christmas lights up, it just evokes memories of like going around your nana's
flat,
and
yeah.
chatting like when you're a little kid.
Yeah.
You'll see the TikTok edits of like, oh, remember being a kid in the
Yeah, the
2000s,
nos-
like the
nostalgia
Christmas
call.
lights, yeah.
Yeah.
hmm I think, when did the outbreak actually happen in the
I
world?
don't
Do we
think
know?
they ever say.
Do
And
not say.
I like that.
Mhm.
I'm sure it was like 2001, 2002 or something like
Yeah.
that.
Oh, man,
Yeah. Another bit about Manchester as well, about that scene. I really like that as a bit of world building. I think the film's quite good at the world building aspect because
Yeah.
normally a zombie film, like, time just sort of stops.
Yeah.
It's as if everyone's just disappeared.
Yeah.
Whereas, what happens if a fire starts?
Yeah.
Who's going to put out the fire?
Stuff's just happening all around the world, around
Uh-huh.
the characters, and like they're not like part of it.
Yeah.
So like in this, you see Manchester.
Cumbria.
Yeah. Well, there's allusions to what at the start they say. Oh, it's spread. There's reports of it in Paris and New York.
Mhm.
But then later in the
Yeah.
film, you see the plane fly past when he's realised, oh crap, yeah, it really is like a quarantine. The rest of the world's completely fine. It's
Yeah.
just us. And it's like it's really interesting, like visual storytelling.
Yeah.
I think it sort of all comes down to Boyle's direction and Garland's script. That like the performances are great, but the script and the direction really make it such
Yeah.
a rewarding experience to watch.
Mhm.
I mean,
Mhm.
you were just saying then when they're saying, "Oh, the infection spread to Paris." We were talking the other day, me and Billy, about how I think both of us much prefer the idea of it just being Britain,
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
and then obviously the build on that in years, which we'll talk about in a bit,
Mhm.
with all the boats. I just like the idea of not in real life, obviously, but in the film of like because every zombie film's like the whole world's been taken over.
yeah.
Just one country
Mhm.
is so much more interesting, I think.
Because it adds like new layers, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
If the whole world's the exact same and exactly being taken
Not
over
very
by
interesting.
zombies, it's not interesting.
There's
no.
a great line with Brendan Gleeson where he's talking about how like he believes if everything outside the UK is like fine. I
Yeah.
remember, I
Mhm.
love that line because it does, like you said, world build sets up because he believes is there anything out there
Yeah.
when he's like talking on like with the radio and stuff. And it's
Mhm.
just so beautiful.
Yeah.
It's because we're never really sure as well.
Mm.
We're never 100% there for most of the film. Like, that could be just a normal plane, but it could be some random plane, some like last pilot trying to stay alive as long as he can in the air. Or,
That is
Yeah.
true, actually. Well, until you get to the end and
yeah.
the fighter jet comes to pick them up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Another little small detail I really like is when after Cillian Murphy characters get shot, when he pretty much has like a blink and you miss it, you see the word where instead of hello, it's just hell.
Mhm.
That's good.
That's
I like
so-
that bit.
In a way, this kind of saying once again, this world they're in is pretty much just hell
Yeah,
itself.
I do actually have one issue with this film.
Oh.
Oh, go on.
It's the ending.
What?
The ending.
Where he's going like berserk in the house.
Oh,
I think it's
what?
fucking
Okay.
ridiculous.
Oh,
I thought you meant. I thought you
Like,
meant.
What are you talking? It's good, but when I rewatched it the other day, I was like, he's like, it's like they've turned him into like Wolverine.
I don't
See,
know. I kind of like that.
I disagree. I think it
Yeah.
works really well because it draws the parallel between Cillian Murphy's
No, I
Survivor.
get that. I just think it
and-
kind of comes out of nowhere.
It comes out of nowhere, but like it shows the blurring of the lines that society's
Yeah, I
starting to
suppose.
undergo.
Yeah.
Because like obviously Selena almost kills
Yeah.
him
Mhm.
because she thinks that he's infected
Yeah.
because he's so unrecognizable.
Yeah.
That's
The
true.
barriers of society are breaking down within about a month
Mhm.
because and like that's why
Yeah.
I think the
Yeah.
ending's so effective.
I would also argue that I don't think it comes out of nowhere as much as you say, because
think
the
it
whole
does.
point is Cillian Murphy's character is going through his apocalypse and he doesn't know anything. And
Right.
very much, we see that earlier on when he's at his house and Mark, I think Tom Mark, just gets murdered by Selena.
Oh, that was
yeah,
hard.
actually,
that
yeah,
was a
because
good
he's,
scene.
he's in shock there, and then you
Mhm.
go.
And he slowly develops that.
Yeah, they go on that road trip, and then they end up at the gas station. He has to kill the
The
kid,
Yeah.
and then further on when they take him out to be executed and that, and he sort of becomes a little bit more competent there as
Yeah,
well.
Yeah.
I kind
Yeah.
of see him.
There is a growing confidence throughout the film. Yes, I think you're right, but he's no Batman like
Oh.
they depict him in the end.
Yeah.
It's still a really cool scene. I think it
It's
works.
a good scene, and the music is
Mhm.
phenomenal.
Oh yeah,
The music,
the theme
unbelievably
tune
good.
for the whole.
The music's
shit,
so
the whole
phenomenal.
thing's
It's in
good.
28 weeks. It's like,
Mhm.
what's this?
Yeah.
they overuse it massively in 28
Yeah.
weeks.
Yeah, they do.
That's probably a good sign to actually move on to 28 weeks.
Okay.
Well,
28 weeks.
next, let's take a look at 28 Weeks Later, the much more divisive sequel. Did it work for you? Because for me, bloody didn't.
Yeah,
It's got a good opening.
not really either.
The opening.
Really?
I,
The opening.
I,
The opening's great,
The
yeah.
opening's really
Don't
good.
get us wrong.
I
feel
fucking
like
hate
listening
this
to the
film.
first one.
I really hated it.
It is pretty terrible. Like
Is it?
Is it? I wouldn't call it outright terrible.
it's not
just
it's
a
not
more.
outright terrible, but it's like when you compare it to
Yeah.
days and years.
Yeah.
it's
It's
a
an
pretty
okay
crap.
horror
It's
film.
quite generic, I think.
it is. It's just like it takes everything that worked about Days, strips it of all of its identity, and throws it into a generic Hollywood zombie
Action
flick.
horror.
You have
yeah.
Jeremy Renner as the good soldier character who's in
Mhm.
every horror film ever.
and he dies at the end
he
by
dies
getting
in
burned
noble
alive.
sacrifices because
Yeah.
that's not really something that happens in 28 Days. You don't see any noble sacrifices. Brendan Gleeson's character
He
dies
just dies because
Because-
getting
Yeah.
nosy.
because he's getting a bit angry and he hit a thing and then random
Oh,
chance.
yeah.
Very much, ironically, relates to the rage virus, really, which
Uh-huh.
is funny.
That's
Mhm.
what. Yeah,
Yeah.
again, these on zombies are the people who are enraged. I think there's a few interesting scenes in Weeks though with the zombies when what's his name, Gaz in Full Monty.
Yeah, I know who you
Yeah.
mean.
Robert
His
Carlyle's
character, yeah, Robert Carlyle. That's the actor's name. Thank you. His when his wife comes back,
Yeah.
and he becomes infected. He
Yeah,
becomes
I think-
zombified.
I think
He's
that's,
so
that's
dumb in
quite an
that.
interesting concept. The fact that you've got like carriers who aren't
Mhm.
exhibiting symptoms
Yeah.
of the. I think that's quite interesting. I think that's going to end up coming back into play, and I'll mention it later when we get onto years. But I think that's going to end up coming back into play with the sequels to that. But
Yeah.
like I think it's silly. I think it's a silly film, and I don't think it really works because
Mhm.
like you were about to say there about him getting infected.
Yeah.
It's just how he just seems to just lock onto his children and chase them like halfway across.
Mhm.
London. It's stupid. The like at this point, the rage virus it just makes them mindless.
Yeah.
killer
Yeah.
machines. He wouldn't chase after his kids halfway across London. He would just go and target the people who were on Canary Wharf.
Mhm.
Mm.
That's what makes me wonder about the film though, because there's some bits where the zombies are like that mindless drones, but there are some bits where they seem to show some level of like intelligence or personality.
Yeah, I suppose.
That's
Like,
kind of cool.
When he
but
kills
even
his
then-
wife, he doesn't like bite her and eat her and tear her to bits.
Gouges her
He
eyes.
gouged her eyes out and punches her like a human would. And when he kills, what's her name, the woman who's trying to help the
I
kids
know what you
escape,
mean, yeah, the
he
doctor or
doesn't-
whatever.
again, he doesn't like rip it out with his hands. He like hits her with the butt of a gun until she died. That's an intelligent
Yeah.
move.
Mm,
And I wish they'd explored it more.
yeah, maybe that's the sort of first signs of these alpha and the like sort of more evolved ones that you would see later on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just wish they did a bit more with it because it seems
It's-
a bit jumbled.
It's a lot of missed potential, the whole
Mhm.
film, I think. I think it just suffers massively from the fact that you don't have Boyle and Garland returning as well.
yeah.
And that's going back to years ago. That's why I'm worried about this second film, because it's not Boyle directing it.
Hand
It's
the
Nia
reins over,
DaCosta.
yeah.
But I think she'll do a good job. It's just
Well, Garland's still there.
Yeah, Garland's still.
You
That's
got
why I
it.
think because like obviously she's done some like a mid film in the past with the Marvels, but I don't think it's that just reeked of studio interference and like
Mhm.
if she's given a good script, I don't. She doesn't seem
Yeah.
the sort of director to turn in a bad film
Mhm.
from a good script.
Garland
I think
has
she'll do quite well.
shown that he's a better writer than director. Even with Warfare, he's shown he can still direct a good film. Well, write a good film when he's not really
Mhm.
properly directing.
Mhm.
I think with Danny Boyle as the like creative head of this whole new franchise we're going into, I think he knows what process needs to happen. Like
Yeah, he's
he
still
needs
gonna
to,
have.
he knows how to give them
influence,
time. Yeah.
isn't he?
Well, I think he passed this film on to the director. I've completely blanked on his name, but he passed weeks on to the director. He recommended him for the position,
Mhm.
but like it just he doesn't have the same style of like, and it just comes across as very
Yeah.
generic.
That's
and
what I noticed.
Yeah,
Because we just talked about how much the film, like 28 Days, loves showing the zombies off in like
Yeah.
creative ways. That didn't really have anything.
it just doesn't have the visual language that the
No.
first one did or the third one.
No, it didn't have the grime. It was just a pretty normal zombie plot.
Yeah, it's generic.
Because they hit the reset button, don't they?
Mm.
Yeah.
So they can lay the groundwork for the generic one. And we'll have Americans, we'll have Idris Elba doing a mid-American accent, I think.
Which is very
Why did they
strange.
I know why did
Uh-huh.
why did they even make Idris Elba American in that?
Yeah, like they could have said, oh, he's a British like general overseas or something. And then he's
Yeah.
come back. They didn't have to make him American and have him do like a crap accent.
Strange decisions.
The
Yeah.
only thing I remember about this film, if I remember hard, is the bit with Jeremy Renner on fire, the beginning, the
Mhm.
ending, and the bit where they get into the stadium. That's the only thing I
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah, when they get and like the helicopters there, and then
Yeah.
see the beginning, the ending are quite cool because it's sort of reminiscent of that first film because like
Mhm.
you get the close up of the downed helicopter once the fly off, and then the start. You get the shaky cam of them running through the tunnels, then the shaky cam of them running up towards the Eiffel Tower while
Mhm.
you've got like a Mayday going across.
Yeah.
That's quite cool. I wish the rest of the film did that.
Mhm.
You know what it
they
reminds
don't.
me of, Finn Balmore? Very early 2010s horror films. Like stuff like the Evil Dead remake and stuff like that, where it just feels too edgy for the sake of it.
I suppose, yeah.
I suppose.
I feel like what it's lacking as well is it like a lack of the human nature being the real
Yeah, it's
enemy.
lack of heart
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, like obviously 28 Days we get the like evil soldiers, the like who are making this horrible like fascist state inside the country,
Yeah.
and we get like these human decisions that really matter. In 28 Weeks, it starts off really strong with Robert Carlyle's character deciding to leave his wife and that kid to be
Yeah.
eaten by the zombies, and that's a really interesting thing that happens. You know, that's a really interesting thing for his character, but it doesn't really get resolved.
I know it doesn't. It's more concerned with spectacle
Yeah.
over human drama,
Mm-hmm.
which it tries to do, like you say, with Robert Carlyle and the wife and the kids. But all the characters are just too flat for you to
Yeah.
care about, and it just doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. Robert Carlyle's the only one who's like interested in like selfish in a way. Everyone else, Jeremy Renner, the lady who helps him escape, they're all
Good,
selfless,
in
good
quotation
characters,
marks,
yeah, who sacrifice themselves for the kids. Yeah, it just kind of falls flat. It's the like ugly duckling of the
The middle,
trilogy, I
it
think.
literally is the middle
Yeah,
child.
Yeah,
This is just boring. I really
It is-
don't
it
was
is
a
care.
quite
bit
boring.
like, yeah,
Mm.
just because again it's more generic. That's all I have to say about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, well, making our way back to the present, we now reach 28 years later. What do we all think of the latest installment?
Spoilers ahead.
Spoilers.
Yes. Ooh.
Set up here?
Oh.
It's set up here.
Yeah, it is. It's set up.
set up.
Yes,
These
yes,
so
it is.
cool, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Spike
Elephant in the
Man.
room.
That's what I really love about it. How obviously Danny Boyle's a big Northeast fan, I think.
What's that mean?
There was
I know you. I don't know Blake.
There was an interview in Tyneside where it was like,
Okay,
that's
oh,
why.
sorry, wrong guy.
You're getting your old bald
Well,
British men mixed up.
Well, he came up over here to our old secondary school
No, he did. Yes.
to
Yes,
do a
he did.
talk.
You did, yeah.
He's quite passionate about the working class, and
He's not from the northeast, is he?
he's not. I don't think so.
I don't think
No,
he
no,
is.
no. But I think that says even more about him, though. if
Yeah.
he's doing that.
Get
And
in there,
it's
Danny.
really nice.
Son.
Yeah,
he does love the North though, because he filmed pretty
exactly.
much in Cumbria at the end of 28 Days.
Yeah.
yeah.
He's and obviously the North's a growing place for film. Please come to the North and film stuff. We need jobs. It's a great sign,
Yeah,
I
Rhys,
think.
give us jobs.
Yeah, it's a great.
You know, this is
sign.
a very professional podcast, as you
Yeah.
can tell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
From all the T-shirts that we have, all the slogans and T-shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
yeah.
It's really cool. I just think it's dead cool. I didn't even know it was set up here until you told me.
Really?
What, did
You
you
were-
not notice the castle? The Newcastle castle in the background of some shots?
Newcastle Castle's in the
Yeah,
background.
in the background.
No,
some
no,
shots.
no. I mean, I didn't know until Rhys told me a few months ago.
right.
He told me a few months ago. He went, I saw a preview for 20 years later, and Aaron Taylor Johnson's doing a really weird George accent. I went, why is he doing that? And he went, well, set up here. I went, it's not. He went, it is. And then I rewatched the trailer, and I went, oh my god, it's Holy Island.
Yeah.
I didn't. It's so cool, and they're all, to be fair, they all do spot on accents.
I think they're quite good,
Jodie
yeah.
Comer is
Mhm.
quite good.
Yeah.
Doing the accent.
They are spot on. It feels
Really
so
are.
weird seeing people.
She sounds like me nan, which threw me off guard.
Like, yeah, it's just weird seeing people
Yeah,
with
and
like
then-
similar accents to
As
us.
someone who came up to Newcastle a lot as a kid and went to those locations, by
Mhm.
the looks of it, I just get very nostalgic because I remember every time I would like see those shots in the film, I'd
Mhm.
point and go,
Yeah.
I remember going there with
Especially
my
the
sister.
Angel of the North.
Yeah.
That got me. I was
No,
like,
that was pretty
wow.
cool.
I was like, my god, Team Valley's on the corner. That's great. That. You know.
What do we think? Like the world building they've done as well.
I love it.
think it's
I
good.
love this
I
film
think it's
so
good.
much.
I like it. I like that they've gone back to because in 28 weeks it ends with them saying that Paris is now infected.
That,
Yeah.
yeah,
And then
I'll-
they go back on that, didn't they?
Yeah,
pretty much
I'm,
okay.
I'm happy with the
blew up
retcon.
Paris.
Very good.
Because,
Yeah.
as you said, 28 weeks was on the reels to set up the whole world zombies.
Yeah.
They do
Neighbours.
reference 28 weeks later again, though, in the montage in the opening. You do see some shots
Yeah,
from.
it's obvious. It is canon.
Yeah,
They
they
just
changed the
changed the
ending.
ending because, like,
Yeah.
they mention it going into Europe but being driven back, and then you've got footage in the montage of the sniper scope when they're
Mm.
shooting down on the people
Yeah.
in Canary Wharf.
Yeah.
I do quite like it that they say, oh yeah, it's moved into Europe, but obviously in Europe they'll have heard of what happened in Britain, so they're like, okay, this is coming, because they didn't have the time to prepare in Britain in the first film, but
Mhm.
now they do in Europe. So
Yeah.
they've pushed it back. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
The bits,
And
yeah,
they've learned from the mistakes of
Yeah.
Britain and, general zombie warfare.
yeah,
They've learned from weeks, really. That's what that's
Yeah.
what they've done, yeah.
Literally in the plot and in real life, they've just stray away from everything that
Mhm.
made Weeks so generic and boring
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
create something that's
very
So-
unique.
it's very unique.
Mhm.
It's like presented as if it's a big blockbuster zombie horror film, and it's
Yeah.
not. It's like a
Indie.
it's a down to earth drama about a family coming apart
Yeah.
and the beauty in both life and death. I thought
Mhm.
it really surprised me.
It's
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
a very British film. Like a very British movie with like a lot of British culture being referenced. Like,
They sing Blading Races
yeah.
in the party. That was quite
That
cool.
was cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously it's on Holy Island. Everyone knows Isle of Wight, everyone knows Isle of Man, no one knows Holy Island. Holy Island's sick. Like, it's got a monastery on the top of it. Why didn't they go in there, by the way, in the film? They
I don't
didn't
know.
go into the...
Is that your gripe? with
yeah.
This film.
Well,
Wait,
they've got,
you've got
they've
the
got
second
second
one.
one. You've got
Holy
the
Islands.
second one.
Hmm?
You've got the second one, so you don't know.
Yeah, the second
Yeah,
one's
that's
not
true.
set up
That's
yet,
true.
though.
That's true. Is it not?
Apparently not.
Well,
Ah.
it's called the Bone Temple. So I think
They might
the
come
thing is, like, with that ending, we'll
Mhm.
get back to it. But like, it's filmed at Cheddar Gorge down in Somerset.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's gonna actually be Cheddar Gorge. I think it's
No,
just
no.
gonna be like they're gonna have used that for a scene. I think he'll have gone a little bit further up north rather than south because
He's going to
Jack
Cumbria
O'Connell's
again.
character was Scottish. The
Yeah.
opening of the film was in Scotland, so I think he'll be on the border going into Scotland. Then
Yeah.
they'll end up coming back down, and that's how they'll end up back at this bone
Yeah.
bone
Mhm.
temple thing.
Yeah.
I'm so looking forward to what
the
they're doing
opening.
with it.
The opening I would have loved a lot more. This isn't an issue with the film.
Mm-hmm.
I had the worst cinema experience ever watching this. There were people behind me going, "Ah!" I'm like, look, if you're gonna come to a horror film, don't be like scared.
Yeah.
That's a stupid thing to say. So I'm gonna have to go back and watch it again and actually watch the opening without being filled with anger. But the opening was the
You could say
opening.
filled with rage.
What?
Rage.
You know what the scariest part of the opening was? I don't know how to word it. I really don't. I hope you understand what I mean. The Teletubbies.
Yeah, they're
'Cause
terrifying.
It's so like all these kids watching it. I'm like, I was watching when they're all watching the Teletubbies, and I was like, the shot where you see the door behind them. I was like, I don't like this.
It's how the audio was also distorted when it starts too.
Yeah.
It's like a VHS copy of it too. and
So
Yeah.
cool. It's a great opening.
It's a good opening. I think every one of these films has a good opening. They're really good at
Yeah.
kicking the plot off quite well. Even though it doesn't really kick the plot off, does it? It just kind of shows a different
Yeah.
perspective
well,
of the outbreak.
does it kick the plot off when
So
you think
well,
about it? Because the ending.
I suppose it kicks the plot off for the other films,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
not as much this one. But like, it sort of it grounds you back in this world after being away from it for so long.
Mhm.
It's probably my least favorite of the openings out of the three of them.
I love it.
I think it's great. Don't get me wrong.
great.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying I think the rage bit in the 28
That's my
days.
favourite one.
That's the best one,
Mhm.
and I think 28 weeks as opening works really well. It's just something didn't click fully with the opening for this one. I really liked what they were going for, but I think I would have liked it more if it was closer to 28 days' visual style. It just it felt a lot more modern and digital, and
Mhm.
something about it just didn't work fully for me.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying it's bad. I really liked it.
Something I quite like about the opening is how it sets up the religious kind of aspect of it. It's very
Yes. I was gonna
religious.
say,
Yeah.
like, the mad
I saw
priest character.
somebody on it was on TikTok, where you get your reliable information and
Mhm.
opinions, who was saying the opening and the ending, I hadn't thought about this, are both about false idols,
Yeah.
which I
Oh, I
think
suppose
in
so.
hindsight, it's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
And then
It's just
Yeah, it's-
in,
And then you have the
it's just
memento
between the lines
mori
a
bit, which very
Yeah.
much is the religious aspect of if anyone dies, they'll have like a memento, which everyone will all remember, which is in
Yeah.
the film, the
Mhm.
schools.
Yeah, like they live in essentially this like commune
Yeah.
on the Holy Island,
Yeah.
and they have their creed which they live by, which will it's essentially religion to them, really. Yeah,
yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, they've got like a proper sort of, I wouldn't call it a ritual, but it's like when you reach a certain age,
Yeah.
you go out.
it's like a baptism.
Like a
essentially. It's a
sort of
baptism.
thing.
Spike,
Yeah.
It's mentioned that Spike does go out a bit young, doesn't he? Because
Yeah,
Mhm.
he's about.
they only go out when they're 15 or 16 or something. They do
Yeah.
mention that.
He's 12, isn't he?
I think
Yeah.
he's 12.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Imagine
it's
doing that as a 12-year-old.
So it's completely unrelated what I'm about to say. This film didn't scare me that much, but you know what did get me?
What?
Do you know when coming back
Oh,
and the dad's going, what's he called, Jamie? He's going, oh, I did really well, and it keeps
The
cutting
alpha,
to the-
yeah.
Oh my god!
I really love the alphas in this. They're such a good direction to take the zombies in, I think. Because obviously
Yeah.
these aren't people who are dead, really.
Yeah, they're just becoming more like pack animals.
Uh-huh.
Where they're traveling herds. You've got an alpha, a leader,
Mm-hmm.
and like the hunting as like a group.
Yeah.
It works
Yeah.
really well.
Like, in general, I like the world building they've done with like the big fat zombies that roll on the floor and eat
Oh,
worms.
yeah.
That's
yeah,
a cool
that's
little thing.
cool.
That they're essentially like divergent evolution lines.
Mm.
These are people who are still living, as we see.
also, I do love the little
Like-
detail with Aaron Taylor Johnson's character where you see the little kid and he doesn't kill it for some reason.
Yeah.
Which does make me think there's a bit more to
Mhm.
what meets him.
Because the zombies in this one are more human
Yeah.
than zombie. Like,
yeah, I think the thing with Aaron Taylor Johnson's character, he's not evil.
no.
He's a bad.
He's a
bad
flawed
character.
He's a bad
person,
guy. Yeah.
But he's not like child murdering.
No, he's
No,
not
he's
as
like,
bad as
oh,
like Chris or Eccleston or like
Any of the.
like,
He's still,
villains,
not.
He's a very
great.
he's very human, like very flawed. And I think that's why I really
Mhm.
like him.
Yeah.
He's written as I know people who are like that, who are while not awful people, they're just very flawed.
Yeah, he's
and
not
still ass.
cartoonishly evil. He's
No.
just someone who you're like, oh, I don't like him.
Yeah.
I was
he's
thinking,
horrible.
oh, he's a very nice guy, and you get to the bit where
Where he cheats on his
he's-
wife.
He cheats on his
Yeah.
wife.
It's Spike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very realistic, and I love
I do
that.
love the characters in this.
Mhm.
They are great.
Yeah.
Am I the only one who thinks the second half is kind of tiny bit better than the first half?
No, I agree. I think
Mhm.
I think when it goes to be more of a drama than like the
Yeah.
beginning where it's sort of what you're expected to be, I think it works better. I think the Bone Temple stuff, once they got there with Ralph Fiennes' character, it really started to click
Oh,
for me,
oh
and it
my
really
God.
started working. He gives one of the best performances of the year, if not the best.
What did he call the alpha called? He calls the alpha something. Which
Samson.
Samson, yeah.
Which again, biblical reference.
I was quite happy as well because I was watching the trailers and I was like, oh, Ralph Fiennes.
I thought he was gonna be evil.
That's what everyone thought,
Yeah.
and then he's like, once again, spoilers. He euthanizes the mom, And
Which is
I
actually foreshadowed in the movie earlier on.
What do you mean?
Is it?
So when he's having a dream, the mum's in the water, very much Head's thing, which is foreshadowing when you see her him take her out to the water.
Oh,
Yeah, so
I
yeah.
see.
I noticed that yesterday.
Oh,
yeah, it's like that whole sort of flipped it on his head because he looks like he would be evil.
Yeah.
He's
Mhm.
covered in
he's covered in orange body
covered in
paint.
orange.
Iodine.
iodine.
Yeah.
He's covered in that, yeah. But then he's like, you expect it to flip. He doesn't flip, and I do like the way you don't know what to expect. Well, you think you know what to expect when you start watching it,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't know what's coming.
Nah.
It's really good.
I was
The
so
whole-
scared he was gonna die.
Yeah.
When he got grabbed, I was like, oh no.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
If they killed him off, it'd be a waste, wouldn't it?
as soon as it breaks from the typical formula, once Spike leaves the island with his mom, that's when the film really started to work for me.
Yeah.
like I say, the Bone Temple stuff, brilliant. It was probably my favourite sequence of the entire year out of any of the new releases.
Yeah.
I cried. I sobbed. Like,
I was on the verge of tears.
And then once you get round to the end, the ending's weird, but I think it
memorable.
works in parts, but
Mhm.
it goes back to the point that you were raising earlier about false idols. It's a really interesting concept
Yeah.
to have basically a group of kids who've known nothing outside of this virus except the flashes of what they remember
Yeah,
before.
'cause they're stuck in the early 2000s,
they're stuck
aren't they?
Yeah.
So like the jump down, you've got the like heavy metal version of the Teletubbies
Yeah.
theme
Mhm.
playing. They're all color coded Jimmy Savile. They're literally named the Jimmies.
Jimmy,
Yeah.
And they're pulling out Power Ranger moves, which I suppose you could say was foreshadowed earlier with
Yeah.
Spike's Red Ranger action figure.
Mhm.
But like it's really, and then you've got the upside down cross, which
yeah.
I read the significance of it, but I can't remember it off the top of my head. But it goes back to the point of false idols.
Because his
And the
father gives him the cross.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it goes
but
back to the worship of the false idols, and
Mhm.
I think it leaves it open to a really interesting place for the second film because it's 2002 when the outbreak came, or 2001.
Yeah.
Savile was never exposed by that point.
Mhm.
2013.
Yeah, so like these people are worshipping.
Still view him as a hero, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
Mhm.
not like, because obviously we don't understand it because we were born, we grew up.
We
once
missed him, thank God.
Thank God for that. We sort of grown up after he'd been outed, but back we don't really have an equivalent to what he was like for these kids. In the
No,
80s.
exactly, yeah.
But then when you watch back the footage of him, they really did look up to him. It's sad, but they looked up to him as like a hero,
Mhm.
like a
Yeah.
false idol. It's
Well-
really interesting.
I love that because they do kind of go, when they're going past the churches and stuff, it says Jimmy's like the god and stuff on it, and it's just like the spray paint saying Jimmy's a god or
Yeah,
something.
it's
Oh,
like
really?
well, it's on
Yeah.
the side of the cottage. It's got the biblical like reference, and then it's got Jimmy carved into. He's got Jimmy carved into the infected. It goes back to Jim will fix it. It's
Yeah.
it's a gang of kids raised on
The hope he'll
nothing
fix
but
it.
TV.
Yeah.
They're called the Jimmies.
Yeah.
Jim will fix it.
I
They
think
want to
it's-
fix the society,
I've got a
but they're
prediction.
corrupted at the very core
Mhm.
because their identity is formed around a person like Jimmy Savile.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Also,
Such a
the kid's also called Jimmy because
yeah.
so
I
in
know.
ways it does also
Yeah.
make me think that the mum called him Jimmy
I
because
feel like
maybe.
he's like the Jimmy Jesus of this.
oh
Like, he's called Jimmy. He's a kid born as Jimmy.
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
the leader
I see
of
what you
them.
mean.
He's the Messiah figure, I suppose.
It's such a bold.
I have
it's
it-
a bold way. To
yeah,
say
yeah.
this. I've got so much respect.
I feel so bad for some Western people like outside of the UK. Go, oh look how cool these ninjas
yeah,
are.
but
Yeah.
I've got respect for Alex Garland. Did he write? Did he write this?
He wrote
I've
it.
got so much respect for him doing this, going to this sort of big meeting, and he's going. So it ends with the man got tooth knives, and everyone's going, "That's really good." And then he goes, "But then this happens," and then he's got to pitch
You know what's
that.
funny?
Yeah.
I think Danny Boyle wasn't the one who said to do that. I think it was
Yeah, it would have been.
Alex.
He
Yeah.
wrote
That's
it,
what
yeah,
we've just
that's
said.
what I'm
Yeah.
Was it? Oh, right. I thought.
Listen!
That's what, we just said.
That's all right.
Alex Garland went. To,
I've-
yeah,
What's your prediction?
Prediction
yeah.
is
Get back to that. Let's we'll
at
cut,
some
we'll cut
point
that
in
ending
the
bit
second
out there.
film, one of them is going to find a Jim will fix it medal. And
No,
it's going to be
you're
like
probably
it's going to be
not
like an
wrong.
object of worship for them.
I've said,
no.
I've said. By the way, to my mate, but I bet it's gonna happen now. Jimmy Savile's gonna be one of the zombies.
No,
There's gonna be a scene.
Dion, don't be
Dion,
stupid. They wouldn't.
That's not
They
going
would
to happen.
Never
That's
do
too-
that.
They would
That's
never
insane.
The
That's too
film would
Zombieland.
never ever get made if that.
Nah.
Like
Matthew,
there's a
Whoa.
there's a
this is
different.
Alex Garland though.
No,
Garland.
it's not going to happen. I can say that for certain.
Okay.
Mhm.
Because like Rhys said, it's too Zombieland, but even then, it's just insensitive. Because like,
Yeah.
Even the ending they've gone with is still like I've seen some people getting
Yeah.
Understandable. People are getting upset over
I
it.
think they're just at the
there's
right time.
there's a
where
difference
it's, like,
between
settled.
zombie
Ah,
Bill
right.
Murray
Mhm.
and zombie Jimmy Savile,
Yeah.
the well-known paedophile and child molester.
It's the
It's
exact
never
same
going to
thing.
happen. And not just that, the original infected from 2002 died out.
Oh yeah.
They're
Yeah.
all dead. So Jimmy Savile would be, if he was infected, he would be long dead.
Oh, that's true.
It's the exact same thing they try to do in Army of the Dead. Zack
Yes.
Snyder's
Oh.
one,
Yeah.
where they have that
I've seen that.
border camp security guard. He is a horrible rapist character,
Oh, right.
And they still treat him as a comic relief character, and he gets zombified in the film. And
That's
beaten
got
up.
when you think about it, it's got similar concepts to what 28 Years puts forward,
Mhm.
where it's like evolved zombies who
Yeah.
there's like pregnancy within them, and like they sort of become
Oh, yeah.
intelligent life.
Mhm.
I don't
It's
really.
just
I
a
don't
better
like
version of what he did.
Yeah.
I kind of like that bit where you find out actually, the zombies still have a bit of human in them
Mhm.
if they're pregnant. And
Yeah.
because I believe.
Oh no, that baby's definitely infected.
Yeah, that's.
Oh,
what,
do you think it's
without-
gonna actually
well,
be-
it's gonna
yeah,
be
without
well,
a shadow
Well, that's
of
what
a
I was
doubt.
referencing
Mhm.
earlier.
Boyle
where I
Arm's
was,
gonna get like taken over by. That's what I reckon's going.
that's what I was referencing earlier with 28 weeks, where I was saying that it was interesting that you can have carriers who don't exhibit symptoms. I think the baby is going to be one of these
Yeah.
people who.
I think there's going to be a time skip, very much a lot of
The-
tiny
the
time
baby.
skips.
There might be, yeah, because that baby's a very interesting character potentially. We could have that.
It can't, but it can't be a big time skip because they're filming it. They filmed it. I think they've
Maybe
filmed
in the
it
third one then,
simultaneously.
because maybe the
Maybe.
second
Maybe.
one's mostly that, and then maybe the cliffhanger
Well,
in the
so-
second one is them
Yeah.
going back,
Mhm.
Well,
and then
Well, no, the cliffhanger of the second one will be Cillian
Oh, the
Murphy's
Cillian
Jim.
Murphy,
Because like
Why?
because Danny Boyle said as much in the interviews for this one. He's like, oh, Cillian Murphy shows up at the end of the second one,
I don't get
and then
that,
it
you
leads
know.
into the third.
because
I
he
don't get
wants
it. It
people.
works. But no, it works on its own.
Yeah,
These
it,
three
Yeah.
films work
it
as
doesn't.
anthologies.
It doesn't need to
They work
connect back to
perfectly.
28, and like it's just only going to spoil the ending because like, Naomi Harris hasn't been announced to be in it, and obviously they haven't said anything about the young. So like they're just going to split up that found family from the end
Mhm.
of, and
Yeah.
and they're going to give Jim, who was a parcel delivery guy, far more importance than he needed to be. So like I wouldn't be surprised if they make him some sort of representative or some sort of doctor.
I was so worried they were going to make him a messiah.
Well, that's what I think. Everyone thought that when the trailers came out and they had Jimmy carved into the into stuff, and it's like
Mhm.
Yeah.
everyone thought that Cillian Murphy's character would be the Messiah, but I don't think anyone predicted that the Messiah was Jimmy Savile.
No.
Yeah.
I think that points to like what this franchise is. It's like isolated. It's an anthology essentially.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's-
I think it
yeah.
works.
The more
really
interconnected
well.
they make it, the smaller the world will become.
Well,
That's what I'm worried about.
At the end, I thought that was going to be where Cillian Murphy's character showed. Like when they started running up around the
Yeah.
corner, I was like, right, just get the reveal out the way. There's obviously something about to happen, so just come on. And then like Jack O'Connell shows up on the ridge dressed
Mhm.
as Jimmy Savile with
thought
a
he was-
tiara.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, well, this isn't what I was expecting. But then, you know, that could link back in because, not to be a bit pedantic, but, you know, you've got the gang of the Jimmies
Mm-hmm.
and then you've got Jim.
Jim. Yeah.
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 I don't think it's a
I didn't
coincidence.
know Jack O'Connell was going to be in this film. So
I
when I
didn't-
saw him, I
didn't
kind of went.
I knew he was in it and I didn't recognise him, so I didn't
They
realise
did
it wasn't
mention
until
though.
afterwards.
They did kind of spoil that he was going to play a vile person because they
Well, yeah,
did
but-
mention
but
he
then
was
again, I
gonna-
don't think anyone was expecting.
Nobody was
that.
going.
Yeah.
He's playing for that person.
Yeah.
He's playing
Jeez, I'm-
Power Rangers,
You could just make
Teletubby Jimmy
a vile
Savile.
person
Make
instead of
one.
having to be Jimmy Savile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got nothing much to say.
I
I've got
Mhm.
Alfie Williams.
Alfie
Is that his
Williams
name?
is
He's
superb.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
in this.
the guy who plays Spike.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He's from-
Absolutely
He's
superb.
great. You know, he's from
He's
Gateshead.
redeemed the
No.
franchise
Go
history
on.
of child
Go
actors.
Go on, local
Go on.
lad. Get
Uh-huh.
in there.
I think he
when
was better
Gateshead
than
discovers
Aaron.
films, they'll be buzzing.
His acting is like pretty much better than Aaron. Like the bit where
Oh,
his
miles
mu-
better than Taylor Johnson.
when
Yeah.
when his
Mhm.
mum pretty much gets killed, his face is just so much of horror and disgust and sadness.
Aaron
and-
Taylor Johnson isn't very good at that.
Yeah, he isn't.
No, he's
At
not
the end of the
best.
day, we can
He's
thank
like
Stephen
one-
Graham because I'm sure Stephen Graham recommended Alfie to his. I think I'd read that he recommended him to his agent.
Oh,
He also recommended Jodie Comer to her agent after.
Oh, right.
And then obviously he's had Adolescence out earlier this year with
Mhm.
the other major young performance in it.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, he's got a good eye for these things.
He's
Stephen
my
Graham
God,
would be
Stephen.
good in one of these films.
He would be absolutely
Stephen
brilliant in one
Graham.
of these
You know what?
films.
Stephen Graham, he's one of the best British actors
He
of
is.
all time.
But Stephen, you
Go
know,
on.
you've had
You
Brendan,
wanna argue with me, don't you?
I've only seen him in Venom 2. I can't comment.
Go on, watch Boiling Point.
you've had
Adolescence too.
yeah, you've had
Adolescence, really good
you've
one.
had Brendan Gleeson in the original, who I would say is one of the best British actors. Now put Stephen
Oh.
Graham in one.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
One thing I want to talk about, and I know this kind of was running on Steam now.
No, it's fine, just wrap
I
it up
do
at this
wonder. I do wonder what the Bone Temple is going to be in the sequel, because why would you
Yes.
call it the Bone Temple when there's
Well, that's
when
what.
we kind of know?
Well, that's why I'm saying that I don't think it's going to be set down in Somerset. I think Cheddar Gorge was just a location they used. I think
Yeah.
it'll be
transition.
it'll be set on the borders between England and Scotland. Then it'll end up coming back down this way.
Mhm.
I hope it does.
it doesn't
Not
really-
some, like,
why would you call it the Bone Temple when we kind of know what the Bone Temple?
Well, I
is?
imagine because the Bone Temple is going to be important.
Yeah.
They're gonna,
because
they're gonna
he said in the interviews that there's an important scene in the Bone Temple, and that's why it's called
Ooh.
the Bone Temple.
Continuing the theme of false idols, it could be reinterpreted. as like a monument to slaughter and death and murder, which a big pile of skulls often is, when it's really, a nice peaceful reminder of
I don't agree on that. Like, obviously, you're saying it could be interpreted. I think it's a beautiful memento mori.
Yeah, at the moment it is, but in the second film,
it could be
like,
perverted.
People could be like dancing around it with sticks and fire.
Oh,
and,
I don't want to do
God
that.
of Death or whatever.
I don't want to do that. That's too.
Yeah,
it's too culty.
It'll
I
be
think
weird.
The worst thing is Alex might actually do that because he's well known for doing shit like that.
But you know what? Yeah,
I suppose we'll see.
We'll see.
Yes,
We'll see. It's out in January.
It lived up to the
28
hype
weeks later.
Yeah, but it actually will
is it
be,
actually 28 weeks later?
By the time this episode comes out, it'll roughly be about 28 weeks.
But I think
until the next film.
Sorry to burst your bubbles on that.
That's
That's the only US release that the UK gets on the 6th.
What?
Of January. They get on the 16th.
Wait, when does the next one come out?
January.
Does it?
Yeah.
That's very fast.
That soon?
Yeah, so there you go. By the time you guys are listening to this, roughly 28 weeks until the next one. So
they'll be filming the first one
put in
next
your
week.
calendar. Anyway, I think that's all the rage outbreaks we have time for in this episode. Now we pose the tricky question to you. Would you classify the infected as zombies in these films? It's hotly debated. Get in touch with us at cineclub.podcast@sparksunderland.com.
And make sure to check out our socials as well, at the CineClub Podcast _Spark on Instagram, at the.cineclub.podcast on TikTok, or the CineClub Podcast on Facebook. They're all good ways to keep up to date on the latest podcast developments.
As always, this episode was recorded and produced by us, the Sunderland University students, as well as being edited by Emily Main. Special thanks goes out to Steve Cannon, Barbara Sadler, and Richard Berry. A reminder that our 4 survivors this week have been me, Matthew,
Me, Rhys.
Me, Billy.
And me, Dion. This has been a CineClub production for Spark. Thanks for listening.